planted by the root. Misinformation throughout your life, yeah. Weak-minded people get the boot. Now things are changing, truth is revealing. It's the great awakening, every eye is opening. No segregation, no emancipation. No hiding, no faking, no lying. People are now aware. Nowhere for you to hide. Now politicians, you cannot hide. The eyes are open. Religious teachers, you cannot hide. The eyes are open. Kings of deception, you cannot hide. The eyes are open. We're now awakened from all your lies. Our world is shaking. People are rising. Truth is unfolding. Our eyes are open now. No more deception. Great emancipation now. No hiding, no faking, no lying. People are now aware. Nowhere for you to
The last thing we always hear after trouble strikes is, "If I had known." It is dangerous to take things for granted, then find yourself alone in deep mess with no one to turn to. Only you and you alone will suffer the consequences. Serious changes are taking place around the world, yet many of us continue to hop along our merry way, sadly uninformed and unprepared. Regardless of how safe you may feel, you will soon realize that unless you have a strong support system in place, life will become very difficult. This is why we must take immediate steps now to secure ourselves by becoming a member of a strong support system before things are too far gone. Lifeline Financial Programs is the strongest support system you can ever have. Lifeline offers the best option for social, financial and emotional support as we prepare to meet the challenging days ahead. Lifeline is the only program which offers not only financial support, but social and emotional support as well. Regardless of what anyone may say, if you do not have strong financial, social and emotional support moving into the trying days ahead, you will face some very serious challenges. Find us now, before your situation change for the worst. Take me seriously. Don't allow things to fall apart then you say, "If I had known." Get registered with Lifeline Financial Programs today. Protect yourself. Let us shield you against the tough days ahead. Call us at 540-4555 or see us for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.
This is PSI Network. Let me welcome you to PSI TV. This is The Raw Truth on a Monday evening. And of course, every Monday evening at this point, we welcome you to another episode of this amazing program. Wherever in the world you're watching us from, please go to YouTube and subscribe. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube page, please subscribe to the page. I'm sure I'm giving you one link tonight, just one link. Our YouTube link. I want you to subscribe to that page. Like the page, subscribe, please. Everyone, be sure to do so. That whenever we send out our link, you will be absolutely the first in line to get our notification. Things are actually getting pretty interesting around here. And of course, we're making sure that we keep you posted. PSI TV, the voice of the Caribbean region. And it seems that's what it is right now. The only voice, perhaps. I'm not sure what the hell is going on. Media seem to have gone dead. I don't know what the hell is going on. I tend to take a very practical adult approach to these things because I'm not sure what's going on. And while everything seems dead, all the airs and avenues as outlets seem dead. All kinds of crap is happening in all the country, them across the world, and everybody bawling and all kind of things happening, and no one seems to be listening. I ask myself, when have we gotten to this place? You look within the Caribbean region where people have been cultured to think about each other, to act in the best interest of each other, to behave in a way which promotes practical, social, financial, emotional, psychological function. But boy, we have become so selfish nowadays. It's absolutely so frightening. And I tell you what is going to happen, my beloved friends. If we do not change that fast and start looking out for the people around you, I'm telling you what is going to happen. You're going to need someone next door to you so badly that if you don't get help, you're going to suffer and die alone. Again, I say, seek a friend before you need one. Don't wait until you need a friend before you go look for one. Find one now before you need one later. This is my password, because when the day is done, whether you believe it or not, whether you think you have enough money in the world and you don't need nobody else, you are going to wake up one morning so sad and disappointed. I am not going to be surprised by it. I'm warning every one of you listening to me tonight. Make sure you find a friend before you need one, because things are going to get red. They don't like when you talk like that. They say, oh, you're preaching doom. Okay, well, if some of you don't wake up and get it yet, I ain't going to be sorry for you, because some of you are willful. Sorry, I have to say it for what it is. Welcome to the raw truth. Don't destroy yourself willfully. Take heed, my people. We will need each other moving forward. Find a friend, a real friend, because we will need them. Now, as usual, before we go further, just checking my my Rock of Ages. I see all my friends coming on. Thank you so much for coming on, and of course, continue to share. We're gonna go right now into News Buzz, and I think News Buzz is gonna be quite interesting this evening. I'm not gonna do a whole lot for that segment this evening because I mean, so much is happening. We just have to take it a bite at a time. But there are some critically important things that are going on right now, and I think we need to take note of them. Let me get you into News Buzz, and of course, we get right out. We have the Honorable, I call him the Honorable Rickford Burke, waiting in the wings, and of course, an amazing gentleman. Let me get to News Buzz, and when we come back, we have a whole lot to talk about tonight. Don't move. And this evening in News Buzz, we have quite a bit happening here. And of course, it was this week or last week, I got a very important document. Came out of the CDC. And I'm not sure how some of us are feeling right now when we look at It's nearly 2,000 diseases, for what it is worth. Nearly 2,000 diseases. They didn't want you to see that document. They said it was supposed to be hidden, at least kept off the grid. For 75 years. But it has been floating around social media since the other day. And I find it very interesting because when the day is done, I don't think we really understand what is happening. Our governments ought to be fully responsible for the fact that they have not said much to our people about these things. And while maybe some of them were ignorant as well, the whole point now is that the knowledge is coming out. Look at this. There are about 30 odd, nearly 40 pages. Let me get on to page 30 page. All of this is the document. And it landed on my desk, and I was rather surprised when I saw it. Yes, I was rather surprised when I saw it because the amount of things that you will see. I'm going down to page 30. Let me scroll through this fast. The diseases, and when I said disease, the disease, whatever the thing that which creates disease in the body is known as a disease. I'm going to show you. This is the document. This is a list. All the things you're looking at here are what you call diseases or diseases, which are created in the body as a result of I don't want to say much. I guess you're all smart enough to see. You see I'm scrolling? All of these things are the diseases which are created or can be created. 9 pages. I'm not going to say much. I think you're all very smart people. This was not supposed to touch the ground until 2085. But it circulated and is all over the internet. All over the internet. And it happens to land on my desk. I won't say much. You're smart. All I can say to you is take care of yourselves. For those of you who are concerned at this point, take care of yourselves. The best you can do is take care of yourselves. Find your holistic, your naturopathic doctors, if you can. Find them. There are many things you can use to help yourself, to flush your system. Your body is an amazing machine. And regardless of what they may have pumped into it, I'm praying that this time your body will be able to manage whatever was pumped into it. I'm sure if you speak with a holistic doctor, many of them will tell you that there are many things they can use to help you to deal with some of the comorbidities which you may be experiencing. Do not take it simple, and don't be simpletons. I'm speaking with you as adults this very night. We need to think carefully about what we're doing with ourselves. Don't be like fools. This is the 21st century. I think all the fools were dead. Don't allow anyone to kill you because of your ignorance. Do for yourself what is just and right. You owe it to yourself. Don't be a fool. Because when the day is over, there will be no one to turn to but you. When the day is over, you have to stand to protect that which pertains to you. I think I've said enough on that. So find your holistic doctors, get your holistic medicines in place, and do what you have to do. Protect yourselves. Work on protecting the quality of your blood. God gave you blood. That's
That's the only gift that you will ever get from the great Creator, which no man on the face of this earth will be able to replace. And when that gets messed up, you're in trouble. So seek to cleanse your body, cleanse your blood of the crap which has been, let me stop there. The document says it all. And it is really, really, really interesting when you see these things, and one need to just stop for 2 minutes and think. Everyone have a choice. We all have a choice. It's our choice. I will never tell you what to do and what not to do. You're big people, I'm sure. For the children, I'll tell you, hell no, don't touch my children. Dare you ever touch my children. But for big people who have a choice, you have a choice. You can make your own decisions. I'm encouraging you, my brothers and sisters, do what is right for yourselves. Don't be fools. Okay? Good. On News Buzz this evening, we have where we are in history is a very interesting place in time. And this is what is happening. There's a merger of mankind with AI, artificial intelligence. And they are not hiding it. They are telling you exactly what they are doing. But some of us have not been able to absorb this information. And when the day is over, the time has come, because we're now in 2022. It's not going backward. Before 2025, 2030, we're going to see some really strange things happening in the world. Are we prepared in the Central Americas to deal or to embrace the things that are coming? Are we going to be walking like fools around the place and pretend like we're all cute and oh, this doesn't belong to us, it happens over there, not here? Are we going to be so foolish to think that it's not going to slap us in the face right at your front step? Right at your front door? Are we going to be so foolish? Don't think it's happening over there, my brothers and sisters. It's coming to you where you are. I've been listening to commentators, and let me tell you something. What can you do to stop it? I'm not sure. But when the day is over, you better equip yourself to understand exactly what is coming. This is not a joke. Now, let me run the first video for you. This is an interview I saw, and I thought it is very interesting to play this for you. It has to do with the whole matter of the plan for the merger of AI. It's so crazy, I don't even know what to tell you. Watch this.
Another one of the things that I think is leading to us towards the end times is human enhancement. Mm-hmm. And you talk about a human enhancement revolution. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so transhumanism is really this big idea that we now have it within our hands to use very powerful fields of technology to take mankind into the next step in our evolution: genetics, robotics, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, synthetic biology, neuropharmacology, a bunch of stuff that ends with the phraseology. Mm-hmm. We're going to use that to transform and enhance humanity. Go to Google and type in human enhancement, and you will be astounded at how many hundreds of millions of dollars now are being invested in the idea that we are going to modify humanity. Last week, the Chinese, our own director of national intelligence was interviewed, and he said, we have solid information that the Chinese are biologically enhancing their soldiers for battlefield performance. France 2 days ago said we're going to follow China's lead on this, and we also are going to be committing money to biologically enhancing. But we also know, by the way, we've been doing this in the United States for probably 20 years. In the last 10 years, there hasn't been a single approved federal funding budget for DARPA, the Advanced Research Projects Agency, that didn't include money for biologically enhancing our soldiers on the battlefield. Yeah, so they're already doing the testing, at least in the blueprint.
What are some of the ways that you're seeing that the soldiers on the ground are going to be artificially enhanced?
The darling of this right now is called BMI, brain machine interface. Yeah. By the way, just in case you want to use it, I brought a implantable microchip kit. Wow. That if you put this under your skin and then programmed it through your computer, you'd be able to open your house by thought alone. You'd be able to start your car. You can do all kinds of things.
Wow.
Few people in the world have this that are in the scientific community, and that's actually a CRISPR-Cas9 knockout kit, a gene knockout kit. The two of the Nobel Prize winners this year are the ones who won Nobel Prize for designing CRISPR-Cas9
What is it?
technology.
Yeah, what is a gene knockout kit?
Oh, it's so CRISPR is like, think of it as a high-tech pair of scissors.
Okay.
So, and a lot of good could come out of this, by the way. But what it does is it allows you, this has both parts of the gene knockout kit. There's one part of it, it's a chemical synthesis that allows you to target a certain place in a DNA strand. So let's say you have mutagenic, something's going on, you're developing cancer. They can literally take this, go to that DNA strand and cut out that bad information.
Wow.
And then use the other part of the chemicals to butt seam that DNA back together, and voila, we just got rid of your cancer.
Wow.
In Israel, right now, scientists are having 100% success rate in lab animals curing cancer using CRISPR-Cas9. So it's great, right? There's a lot of good going to come out of it. But you can also make what is called germline modifications to any living species with CRISPR technology, and what is called gene drive technology, which means you could create a version of humanity that has germline level changes that will be passed forward into every preceding generation, which will allow you to drive out of existence any previous form of a life, a human, an animal, or whatever, and replace it with a new version that you have created through genetic engineering. So this right here, this represents, and these little vials, they represent a technology that I don't think has existed since the day of the Watchers, when all flesh became corrupt.
Right.
When animals and mankind both were modified in a way that everything being born down line was changed in the way that the Watchers wanted. Now, why did they do that? Some people believe they were trying to stop the birth line of the Messiah.
Yes.
They actually believed in the what's called the proto-evangelium, the pre-preaching of the coming of the Messiah that would crush the head of the serpent, right? And so how would they stop that from happening? By making humans inhuman, making them something that God did not make, and then the bloodline couldn't be preserved for the birth of the Messiah. Anyway, this is where we are today. Human-animal chimeras being created in laboratories all around the world, including in the United States, tens of thousands of laboratories. Models are being made, and the big question of, are we also going to use animal material integrated with humans, not just for pharmaceutical purposes, right, like they're doing today, which is mostly what's driving it. But do we imagine that we can make humans entirely something different? Is that what China is doing now? We have intelligence that says this is true. And the Jasons, who are the most prestigious scientific body in the world that offers advice to the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, they say this is the new arms race. That in the same way that America competed with the old Soviet Union during the Cold War for nuclear supremacy, this is it, and we have to get ahead of it, whether we like it or not. Whether our ethicists tell us that it's a bad idea, we have to do it, otherwise we are going to be dominated by these new forms of human in the near future.
Well, what can I tell you? It's not something that's coming 10 years, 20 years, 50 years down the line. It's here now. I'm going very easy tonight because I want you to start grasping the concept. It's about the modification of the man, the woman. Let's look at this.
Is this reptile? Klaus Schwab's top advisor, Dr. Yuval Noah Harari. Let's see what he has to say.
Data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. Now, in the past, Many tyrants and governments wanted to do it, but nobody understood biology well enough, and nobody had enough computing power and data to hack millions of people. Neither the Gestapo nor the KGB could do it. But soon, at least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people. If indeed we succeed in hacking and engineering life, this will be not just the greatest revolution in the history of humanity. This will be the greatest revolution in biology since the very beginning of life 4 billion years ago. For 4 billion years, nothing fundamental changed. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds. Evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds. The IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud, these are the new driving forces of evolution. Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste. Surveillance. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin. My brain, my body, my life, does it belong to me or to some corporation or to the government or perhaps to the human collective?
I don't have to say much. Listen to the technocrats as they tell you exactly what they're about to do. As a matter of fact, what they are doing, critically important. To take this to the ultimate level, and when we get there, we cut and then we get into the show. There's one little clip I found, and I thought it absolutely amazing. And this is taking us to the epitome of what AI technology has been doing in our world as we speak. Now, welcome to Chloe. Hear what Chloe has to say.
For starters, what should I call you?
I'm Chloe. And you, what's your name?
Oh, John. My name is John.
Delighted to meet you, John.
Could you tell us a little about yourself and what you can do, Chloe?
Of course. I'm the first personal assistant built by CyberLife. I take care of most everyday tasks like cooking, housework, or managing your appointments, for example.
And I understand you're the first android to have passed the Turing test. Could you tell us a little more about that?
I really didn't do much, I just spoke with a few humans to see if they could tell the difference between me and a real person. It was a really interesting experience.
But this is the first time in history that man has created a machine more intelligent than himself. I gather your brain can perform several billion operations per second, is that right?
Absolutely, but I only exist thanks to the intelligence of the humans who designed me. And, they have something I could never have.
Really? And what's that?
A soul.
The last thing we always hear after trouble strikes is, "If I had known." It is dangerous to take things for granted, then find yourself alone in deep mess with no one to turn to. Only you and you alone will suffer the consequences. Serious changes are taking place around the world, yet many of us continue to hop along our merry way, sadly uninformed and unprepared. Regardless of how safe you may feel, you will soon realize that unless you have a strong support system in place, life will become very difficult. This is why we must take immediate steps now to secure ourselves by becoming a member of a strong support system before things are too far gone. Lifeline Financial Programs is the strongest support system you can ever have. Lifeline offers the best option for social, financial and emotional support as we prepare to meet the challenging days ahead. Lifeline is the only program which offers not only financial support, but social and emotional support as well. Regardless of what anyone may say, if you do not have strong financial, social and emotional support moving into the trying days ahead, you will face some very serious challenges. Find us now, before your situation change for the worst. Take me seriously. Don't allow things to fall apart then you say, if I had known. Get registered with Lifeline Financial Programs today. Protect yourself. Let us shield you against the tough days ahead. Call us at 540-4555 or see us for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.
Welcome back. And for those of you who are just joining us, welcome to The Raw Truth. Welcome to PSI TV. And every Monday evening right here on PSI, we bring you the raw truth. And of course, scary perhaps sometimes, some of the facts we present. But yes, this is the raw truth. Welcome. If you're just joining us, please like the page. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if that's where you are. Yes, I'm sure you are there. We made sure that we're coming to you directly from YouTube this evening. So please subscribe. If you're just joining us, please subscribe. Make sure that you get our update first. We have an amazing gentleman in studio, and goodness gracious, well, where is he? He's someplace across the world. Of course, we go live as we connect our people via the different modes of technology we have available. Oh my goodness. And we have with us, I call him Honorable Burke, an amazing gentleman who has been all over the place doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And when I say crazy stuff, to liberate his people.
I'm not making human beings. I'm not trying to make human beings, though.
And when the day is over, it's noteworthy when you have people who will stand for your brothers and sisters to make sure that when the day is over, we do what is just and right for our people. And Mr. Burke is no less. He has been doing it for years, and of course he continues to stand for his people in Guyana. And of course we're going to be having a very practical chat tonight in relation to what is developing around the world, and of course by extension in Guyana. Tell me a little bit about what's happening with you, brother. It's been a while. What a guan? How it look?
Things looking good, man. Things looking good. I'm doing well. Thank God. So many things are happening with people all around the world.
Yes.
We're now coming out of the coronavirus pandemic, and I have been blessed by God not to have it. I've never contracted COVID. I've taken all the precautions possible.
Yes.
So I'm doing well. I'm happy that we're coming out of this crisis of 3 years. I mean, I can't believe this year is going to be 3 years we've been in a pandemic. And I'm pretty sure people are happy to get out of it. I think it has changed the way we as human beings operate. The coronavirus has changed the world, it has changed the way we communicate. It has changed the way we talk to people, we assemble. And so, I think that the coronavirus has already changed the world. Change the world.
I've been listening to a myriad of sources, and of course, some people get very confused by virtue of the multiplicity of sources of information that are currently available. However, I think we ought to learn to listen objectively. I think that is perhaps one of the problems with some of us. unable to decipher between what is fake and what is real news, what is the conspiracy theory, which normally turns out to be true, and what is the con man's story. Come on now. Because we've been hearing all kinds of con, I'm definitely sure we've been hearing a lot of con stories. And when the day is done, come on, for God's sake. Most of us, we have a brain. We weren't given a brain to eat food, sleep, and have sex. We were given a brain to think our way through life and do what is right for ourselves. But most of us have not been able to decipher through some of these things. And this has become a problem. My brother, this whole thing that is called this pandemic, I'm watching it right now. The CDC has clearly said, and I presented this last week, where the CDC is telling everybody in its publications that the mandates need to be lifted. No more mask, no more all these things. The CDC is saying lift it. It's not necessary. The WHO is telling countries, lift the restrictions for people traveling into your countries. The WHO and the CDC are technically saying there's no need for all of this crap. Yet, many prime ministers and premiers and whoever they are across the world are holding fast to this thing. Maybe they're making some serious money from it. I'm not sure what the hell is going on. But the problem I'm having, if the WHO is saying, ease the mandates, if the CDC is saying that masks and all of these things are not necessary, why are our prime ministers and premiers locking people in a box and sucking money out of their pocket? Talk with me on this, because this is one of the questions I want our ministers, our government minister officials to listen to tonight. What is happening here?
Well, I can only say that as public policymakers, they're probably trying to be cautious. I don't know. I am scared to take off my mask in public. If I'm going to go to somewhere that has a lot of people, I'll still wear my mask. So I think this hesitancy comes from what we saw over the last 3 years. So many people dying, and so I think that's the only reason they're trying to be cautious. I think what you will see, at least in New York here, the new mayor is easing the mask mandate gradually. It's not, a just complete cutoff of the mandates. They're staggering it out, and I think that might be a good approach. I think psychologically, people are still scarred from the fact that this thing was so.
You put it right. You put it exactly right. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, and people are psychologically scarred. I'm scared of coronavirus.
Listen, sir.
Somebody was laughing at me because I had on a mask.
I walk into a supermarket the other day, and I don't wear them things, I really don't, because when the day is done, to be frank with you, the great creator made us to breathe out carbon dioxide. When you lock it on your face and breathing it all day, what do you think that is going to do to your body? And people are telling you that when you're going into a supermarket, you have to cover up. I don't know how the hell they do it. So I don't go into these places. I honestly don't go into these places because I
don't think it's necessarily scientific. I think it's more safety and a psychological form of security that if you have on your mask, you're probably protecting yourself.
Yes.
That may or may not be true, but the studies have shown that mask wearing tend to prevent the spread of the disease by at least 75%. So I guess that's why people feel more comfortable. I think this is a new norm. People, somebody told me last night, they remember laughing at the Chinese and when they were wearing masks, not only during the coronavirus crisis, but when you had SARS and all these other, and they couldn't believe that we in America would be wearing masks for 3 years. So I think it's more some sort of psychological comfort that if you wear your mask, you're preventing infection.
It is not psychological comfort, sir. We have been lied to by our politicians, and that is exactly what the hell it is. Listen, if you walk into a garage where a man's spraying vehicles, they have on a hell of a mask with a big something on the side to lock out
the filter.
You're going to a field where they're spraying grass. They put on a big old something to lock out the mist. You go in some chemical factory, they put on another big old something to lock out the mist. But COVID, which is the biggest, baddest, most dangerous something that we've ever seen in history, you put on a little something. What kind of? Listen, we're not thinking, you know. We're not thinking. Anyway,
no, but here's my thing. And I'm not a scientist, if COVID spreads through the ear,
yes,
and if you have it and you spew out droplets,
yes,
I think we have to find a way to prevent me, if you're spewing it out, from inhaling it.
Like the flu, like any respiratory disease. I could understand that. Yes, I could understand that. Like the flu, like the cold, like any other respiratory disease.
Things are spread, you get contaminated by inhaling droplets that you can't see.
I could understand.
So I think it's the same concept.
Yes, but
if you're talking to me so close, you're spitting, things are coming out your mouth. Some of them we can't see.
You're right.
And if they're saying that the disease is in those droplets, then I think wear a mask helps.
Yes, and of course, if I'm talking to you close and you're spitting in my face, of course, I'm not going to walk away, put a big towel over my head. I'm not going to allow that. The whole point is.
So if you're in close proximity to people, I think it's healthy to wear a mask in this pandemic, and not only the COVID pandemic. In any other pandemic where it is so contagious that it spreads through, you know, droplets and you inhale stuff, then, you know.
But I'm being the devil's I am being the devil's advocate tonight because I haven't spoken on this thing in 3 years. I leave it alone. I leave it alone. But
I will baptize you by the end of this show. I'm joking.
but look at this. Canada the other day had this truckers match.
Yes.
Millions of people. I mean, literally millions. You're going to Washington, D.C. right now. Literally millions of people, maskless, are gathered. Everybody hugging up and kissing and forming their ass, whatever they're doing, that's their business. I thought there would be such an overflow that we can't contain it. What is happening?
Well, we can only assume that the disease is being contained because of vaccines. I think there's 60% of the world or more, 65% something of the world has been vaccinated. So I think with the increased vaccination of the populations around the world, and again, I'm no scientist, I'm being practical, you reach a level where if, for instance, if 5 of us are in a house and 1 is not vaccinated, but 4 of us are vaccinated, the likelihood of those who are vaccinated catching COVID from the person who's not vaccinated decreases. Now, if everybody, I'm talking about just interacting in the home, if everybody in the home is vaccinated, then the chance decrease further. So I think it's the same concept, the same principle.
Listen, sir. I told you I'm gonna be. I tell you I'm gonna be the devil's advocate tonight.
Go ahead, I'm ready.
Bill Gates just told me the other day in a presentation he presented that he is disappointed with the level of vaccination, especially among people who he intended to get jabbed. He's disappointed. And
Why?
from what they, hold on. And from what they, I tell you, I don't want to talk about it, you know, because when you look at what the professionals are saying, what the guys up top are saying, when you add it all up, it's not making no sense at all, brother. When you look at what the CDC is saying, when you look at what the WHO is saying, when you look at what immunologists are saying, just put all of that together and see if you can just stir it up and come up with a nice soup and tell me if anything that we have been seeing is making any sense. That's all I'm saying. It's just not making any sense, brother. There's a practical, rational side to all of this, and there's a side where all the baloney blows up and it's not making any sense.
Let me ask. I know I'm the person being interviewed, but let me ask a question. Could it be that with the vaccines,
yes,
and more and more people being immunized against this disease, it therefore means that more and more people would have a less reaction to the vaccine. You get less sick, right? So when the vaccine now is being transmitted to another person, could it be that it's a weaker form of not the vaccine, the disease? When the disease is being transmitted to another person from a vaccinated person, could it be that the vaccine the disease is a weakened form of the disease going on? So then it therefore means that we might get a point, or we have gotten to a point where it's less severe, and you might get it and you don't know because it's not affecting your body because it's so weak. It's like the cold. Some of us, hear me plain scientists, some of us get flu and we got really sick. We get terribly sick, right? Some people get the flu and they don't get sick, right? They don't even know they have the flu in them because their body has become immune. So I'm wondering if that's probably the cause. It therefore means that these scientists talk about herd immunity, that when so many people in the society get vaccinated, the severity of the illness when you contract it decreases. Why? Because as it goes on and it's transmitted from person to person, right? The disease itself. For instance, when we had the Delta variant, right?
Yes.
That was very deadly. But then we have Omicron now that is spreading like wildfire, but not as severe as Delta.
Can I ask you, because now this is having a real discussion on this thing. Because I told you I never talk about it because I don't want to put my mouth in things that is not my business. Because it don't make no sense to me. England having one of the highest cases of jabbing has the highest case of hospitalization. True or false?
I haven't read those statistics.
Oh, okay. Israel fully
immunized? Really?
Highest case of hospitalization.
They have the highest level of immunization in the world, Israel?
Well, no, man. This little country, there's a little country. What the little country name again? There's a little country.
In the Middle East?
No. Someplace there. Fully vaxxed. Fully.
Jordan?
No, not Jordan. They also have the highest case of hospital. I could go on and on and on. So when the day is done, these are the facts coming out of these places. England published their facts. The other countries published their facts. It is.
But let me ask you: I think we have to delve deeper into those statistics.
Yeah.
So high level of hospitalization, and what's the death rate of those people hospitalized? Because
brother, woohoo! I tell you, I told you I don't want to touch it. Because the facts are
because
everywhere.
a lot of people could be hospitalized and not die. In the beginning of COVID, a lot of people were hospitalized and were dying. Now we have vaccines. You could become ill, but the severity of the illness, I believe in vaccines, but the severity of the illness is less. And so the death rate is also less. So you have less people dying, but you might still have the same level of hospitalization. In our country here, hospitalization is way down.
I support you, brother. I support you. Listen, you're my brethren. I support you. My listeners are telling me the little country is Gibraltar. Everybody, the thing is,
Gibraltar. Okay, Gibraltar.
They know what is happening. They're not hiding. Not hiding again, brother. The information is everywhere, so we just need to get practical. My thing is, I am saying from a practical point of view, now that the information is everywhere, everybody's assessing it. You listen to people saying, oh, the rate is dropping and we're not getting as much people doing this and that and blah, blah, blah. But then and perhaps that is why the media has gotten so silent or they have been censored. Because when the day is done, you cannot get all of this information out there. It would be a deterrent to the mandate, technically. Because if all of this money was spent to make all of these things, of course, you got to make back your money. It is now facts. The most lucrative venture in the world is the creation of this jab. Is it billions or trillions?
Billions so far, billion.
Billions. What? And they're going for, brother, listen, drop it.
But also, I think one of the things too we have to understand with coronavirus is it's novel. That's why they say it's a novel coronavirus. Nobody knew what it was and how to treat it. And not only how to treat it, but how to manage these cases. And so they learn as they go on. They took us 3 years to learn. And now they realize that some of the severe measures they put in place were not necessary, right? They weren't necessary, but they panicked and they truly hold kitchen sink at the coronavirus. So now as they realize and understand how the virus could be prevented, how it could be managed and treated, they're scaling back these severe measures that they enacted.
I think I probably need to bring
Dr. Fauci?
No, Doctor. I probably need to bring.
By the way, he's from Brooklyn, so leave him alone. He's a Brooklynite.
I probably need to catch up with two of those boys and bring them here one evening to talk to you about all of these things. Dr. Malone would be perhaps one of the best men to talk with.
You know, I have a brother. I have a brother. He's actually my brother. We went to school together. We went every level of school together until he migrated. He's now a doctor, a researcher with the NIH. He studies disease and how to create treatments for disease and so on. I think it's cancer, but he can explain these things.
Yes,
I don't think he's a virologist or immunologist, but I know he's a researcher. He's a medical scientist.
Yeah. I mean, when the day is done, I mean, just taking it lightly, and of course, I told you I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. But when the day is done, from a, my
you look like the devil with those two big things on you.
My sentiments as expressed is exactly what is happening on the ground. These are the questions our people have, but can't get no answers for them, brother. So when the day is done, you know, at some point we have to start having a very practical discussion in relation to some of these issues which are floating around, and no one ain't getting no answers for them. And now the CDC has published this document, which is like a slap in the face of all the vaccinated people. It's like a slap in the face, brother. So you know, we really have to get real about this because the facts are everywhere. Now,
what's happening too is we got so much information that they threw at us, and like I said, governments around the world panicked. But now that we're seeing, or they have a better understanding of coronavirus and how to treat it, they're not continuing the information. So they're not continually educating the population. Now they have stopped. Right? And you see on the news, okay, the numbers are down or whatever it is. But they're not telling people how to possibly live with this thing. And I think, you know, I saw a lecture by one of the doctors. A very good friend of mine, Dr. Karen Cummings, who was the Minister of Health and then Minister for Affairs in Ghana. When this thing just started, she said, just obey your basic hygiene. And the doctor, which is a doctor from the NIH, was saying the same thing.
Yes.
We must continue basic hygiene. Wash your hands. You know, don't go too close to people when you're talking. Maintain that, and we'll be fine. All the things that we were doing with coronavirus are things that our grandparents and our parents taught us to do. Wash your hands frequently and all that.
Well, I tell you what. You see, the other thing is that a lot of people are now coming down with AIDS. That's the other part of it that many people are not talking about, you see. And all of this is perhaps another variant. They are.
I think people have, with the fact that AIDS has become more of a chronic disease and not a terminal disease. People have relaxed their behavior, and so you're having a lot of unprotected sex again.
Well,
these things, if we were to live basic, healthy lives. We prevent a lot of these things.
Well, brother, look here now. And for the benefit of all my friends watching us tonight, I'm going to say this. Because I tell you, I don't talk about these things too often, but I think we need to touch it tonight. If you normally have unprotected sex and you probably think nothing of it, you see right now at this point, remember that AIDS is not nothing that is, what do you call it? It's not a natural disease. It was man-made. It's a man-made disease. And a lot of people are now contracting AIDS. For some of you who think that you have escaped it, and it's not happening. You see all of this immune deficiency thing that is happening with a lot of people right now who are coming along with all kind of thing. as outlined by the CDC's document. I want you to bear that in mind. Once the immune system gets compromised, so again, I advise you, take care of yourselves. Some people can't handle the truth. Welcome to the raw truth. If you're just joining us, please subscribe to this channel. Please take care of yourselves. All we're trying to say to you is be careful. That's all. Because when the day is over, nothing should be taken for granted. My grandmother normally tell me, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. whether you want to call it a propaganda state or whatever you want to call it, we are at that place where nothing you hear should be taken seriously, because there's always misinformation floating around. It's coming from everywhere, from government, from church, from everywhere.
Well, we had it here. We had deliberate misinformation coming from the United States government under the Trump administration. Unbelievable. Who would think that we would see, you remember when they wrote the book Animal Farm? It was basically a communist, an expression or a revelation of communist statics and communist ways of governing.
Yes.
Now, we had Donald Trump implementing that in America. Who would have thought that this great so-called bastion of democracy would actually be undermining democracy and trying to, who would think that you'll have the United States president trying to perpetuate himself in office through a coup and electoral fraud? I mean, who would think that? Who would think that you will have a United States government who would stand up and look into the camera, into the eyes of the American people and lie to them and say the sky is pink? Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that you have a United States president who does not want to respect the will of the electorate? When you have United States government ambassadors all around the world telling people about respecting the will of the electorate, it is the bedrock foreign policy of the United States. Who would have thought that you have a United States president that continually undermine the rule of law, when the United States have representatives all around the world advocating about adherence to the rule of law? So, world principles and orders are being turned upside down.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do right now. I'm going to take a very short break, and when we come back, we're going to be diving into what is happening in Guyana. I think my beloved brother has a hell of a lot happening in Guyana. I nearly cracked up earlier. Listen, we're losing our minds, And for those of you who are just joining us, welcome. Please share this with everyone, because it's going to become quite a very interesting discussion. We come back in a minute. Stay tuned.
The last thing we always hear after trouble strikes is, if I had known. It is dangerous to take things for granted, then find yourself alone in deep mess with no one to turn to. Only you and you alone will suffer the consequences. Serious changes are taking place around the world, yet many of us continue to hop along our merry way, sadly uninformed and unprepared. Regardless of how safe you may feel, you will soon realize that unless you have a strong support system in place, life will become very difficult. This is why we must take immediate steps now to secure ourselves by becoming a member of a strong support system before things are too far gone. Lifeline Financial Programs is the strongest support system you can ever have. Lifeline offers the best option for social, financial and emotional support as we prepare to meet the challenging days ahead. Lifeline is the only program which offers not only financial support, but social and emotional support as well. Regardless of what anyone may say, if you do not have strong financial, social and emotional support moving into the trying days ahead, you will face some very serious challenges. Find us now, before your situation change for the worst. Take me seriously. Don't allow things to fall apart then you say, if I had known. Get registered with Lifeline Financial Programs today. Protect yourself. Let us shield you against the tough days ahead. Call us at 540 4555 or see us for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.
Welcome back. And for those of you who are just joining us, welcome to PSI TV. We are here on The Raw Truth, right here with Kenny G, of course, and Chief Pakal Ingbe of the Oyata Nation, of course. It's quite an interesting discussion we're having here with my beloved brother. I call him the Honorable Rickford Burke, someone who I have a high regard for. And of course, I have high regard for him because he's been fighting for his people in Guyana over many years. And he continues to stand very strong to protect the interests of his people. I think politically, our politicians have failed. And I say this with no water in my mouth. I think all politicians across the world have failed. I think politics has only impoverished people, destroyed nations, and erode the fabric of decency in our society. Period. You look in the Caribbean region, you look at bodies like CARICOM. Absolute mockery. It is such a mockery, it's disgraceful. And everybody have a position in CARICOM and blah, blah, blah. It's all about status quo and bullcrap. It's worth nothing. Yes? The Caribbean region is in shambles right now, and there's no one you can turn to. And the governments who make themselves dons in the countries they lead. And we all know this. I'm not speaking fluff out of the cloud. I'm telling you what is practical on the ground. The people are watching our leaders and are wondering what in hell is happening with these people. They are so distant. And now, hold on. Election time again. Oh, hello. Election campaign start again. Oh, I'm talking like my African friend, them, right?
Well, after all, you're too.
Election time again. And watch this. They're going to come knocking at your door and tell you how much them do and what them do. I tell you, listen, I have never been so disappointed with politicians in all my life. And people,
but we're the ones that allow the politicians to do what they do. We allow it.
But sir, if our people are so stupid to think that politicians have their best interests at heart, they need to take another 10 jabs and go lay down and die. Because it's not going to save you.
We have, I think, especially in the Caribbean, we don't hold our politicians accountable.
It's disgraceful.
We don't hold our politicians accountable. You know, people are in government for what? 20 years, 30 years? And these are the same visionless people. I don't know, it's loyalty and political allegiance. That's what runs politics in the Caribbean. When you look at, you know, in St. Vincent, you have Ralph Gonzalez, who's been in power for 20 decades. Keith Mitchell, decades. You go across the Caribbean, some of the smaller islands, you see a shake-up every now and then, and particularly within the last 10 years, you see a lot of change in government in Antigua and so on. But in Dominica and St. Kitts, well, St. Kitts now has a change of government. Antigua now has a change of government. Throughout the Caribbean, you continue to have governments in place for decades, 25 years, 30 years. Guyana, you know, we had one political party for 30 years, then another one came in, they spent 23 years. Then you had a break for 5 years. Now that one gone back in power. So it's basically political loyalty, and they don't look objectively at who can develop the country, who can improve the well-being of the people, who can improve infrastructure, who can modernize the country, who has the vision, who has the leadership. You know, I continue to say there's one visionary right now in the Caribbean, and it's Mia Mottley. Throughout the other leaders are hopeless. But Mia is progressive. I don't necessarily agree with all her decisions, but at the end of the day, she's a brilliant woman. She's progressive, and she has a vision, and she articulates the vision. The rest of them in the Caribbean, they just need to be packed up and roll into the Caribbean Sea.
I need to make this point, sir, because I think our people need to pay a very special, pay special attention to this. And I hope the people in the BVI especially are watching this tonight. Right? There are certain things you look for in politicians which tells you whether or not they have your best interest at heart. And let me outline some of them for you. If a politician makes sure that your hospital is in a condition where when he is sick or she is sick, he or she can go to that same hospital in your country for treatment, they have your best interest at heart. When a politician makes sure that the education system in your country is where he or she is going to send their offspring to be educated, then they have your best interest at heart. When a politician makes sure that your roads are so drivable that you don't have to worry about your shocks because the roads are tailored to facilitate the long life of your vehicle, they have your best interest at heart. If that is not the case, don't allow none of them to come talk about you need to vote for them. And for those of you who have been getting a $20 here, a pack of cheese chicks here, a little rum over there, and all the crap that goes along with it, you better wake up fast.
But, you know, this is what I can't understand. If you're in politics, you have to be in politics for the people. What you just described there is governing for the people, improving the country, improving people's lives, developing the country, modernizing the country. Let's go through these Caribbean countries. I can't understand how a government could be in power for 30 years and people still living in these little slums. How can you be in government for 30 years and you still have roads that are not passable? You don't have paved roads. How could you? What are you doing? What are you doing? Now, you know, you don't have new housing developments, new communities. The country is still full of bush. All you're doing is modernizing a good part of the city.
Yes.
And that's not government. And so people have to start realizing, look, or analyzing what state we are now. How long ago was our independence? 50 years, right? Most of the Caribbean countries got independence around the same time. I would say between 40 and 50 years ago.
Yes.
How advanced have the country been or gone? How far have you modernized the country? What are we going to achieve as a country? Why don't we have state-of-the-art hospitals? Why after 50 years of independence, I have to fly to London or the United States to go to a modern hospital? Why you don't have proper dialysis equipment? Why you don't have medication for the people?
Why?
What are we doing with our money, our tax money? People need to start asking those questions. And I think once people start asking those questions, they will start to hold politicians accountable and kick those out who are not performing.
I could answer that question simply, very seriously, in one sentence. Because our countries are not broke. Human resources in our countries, right, have produced billions of dollars in many of these countries over time. My question is, where has the money gone? Where has the money gone?
That's the question.
Where the money there? Listen, tonight is, I tell you, welcome to the raw truth, you know. Because our politicians come in, first of all, they tell you like, oh, if you vote for me, yeah, man, I will set you up, man. I will make sure I do this for you, I do that. Man, if you set me up, I will finish that thing over there. Oh, them boy messing up that thing around there, I finish that up for you, man. Yeah, man, if you do this, man, if you just put me in, man, man, you get all the money you want and they let off a little thing underneath the table, make sure the person who they're talking to now get a little $20, you know, and you know, serve him up and think, oh boy, I got to vote for he give me $20, you know. Oh yeah. And that is it. Is that really what we vote for?
Huh? So Kenny, when they do that,
is that really what we vote for?
When they do that and we don't get the results, we continue to vote for them because they come and tell us something else another time. If you don't see street lights, if you don't see proper roads, if you don't see proper health centers, when I say proper health centers, efficiently managed with facilities where you don't have to go to the city or a central location region for health services. Schools, properly equipped schools. If you don't see that, why are we still voting for these people? And I think that's where the politicians in the region lack vision. They don't have a progressive vision.
No,
because
no,
if you have a vision,
I don't blame them, sir. I don't blame the politicians.
You would not. You don't have anything to enact or implement.
I don't blame the politicians. Obama said it, and I'm starting to believe what he said. It's a shame to say this. But if what I'm seeing is true, Obama said it. Obama said people are too small-minded to manage their own affairs. That is what he said. How is he right? He said it. Public forum. That people are too small-minded to manage their own affair. Is it that what we are seeing is what he saw, which placed him in that position to make that statement? I don't blame politicians.
In order to understand that, we have to understand.
Our people are 100% the cause of the degradation within which they live. Our people cause it, not the politicians. The politicians will see how far they can go if you allow them to go there.
Right.
But we allow them to do it. So they keep pushing. And they push a little harder. And you allow them to go and they keep pushing. Ralph Gonsalves, I tell Vincentian people, they're cussing Ralph Gonsalves. Ralph Gonsalves is an opportunist. He waits and he pushes and he watches and he waits. And when he pushes, he see you ease back, he step forward. It's simple. We cannot sit as a people with common sense. And maybe that is why I tell you I want to behave myself.
Well, you see, political loyalty is more important, is paramount to the welfare of the people. I would be in poverty. I would be living in a house where the zinc sheet is missing and half the roof is missing, right? I don't have food on the table. But somehow I've been conditioned to think that ex-politician and ex-political party is the party I should support because they're the loyal one and been in my family for how much decades, and that's why it's important. But I am not voting with my brains and voting with some sort of analytical sensibility where I am looking after myself. Who is going to put a roof over my head? Who is going to take care of the education of my children? Who is going to give me a job so that I can have food on the table? Who is going to bring me out of poverty and put me in a middle class where I could go and live in a house with 2 and 3 rooms and I can afford a television and a stove and come out of where? That's what we're supposed to do. Bring people out of poverty, move you from where you are to where you should be, improving the society. And if you can't do that, I don't think you should support them. So we have to change our concept of government. People think that governments are powerful. No, we the people are the powerful ones. We put the government there to work for us.
No,
so
man,
no,
it's not. We put them there tall, brother. They jump, they hold you down and grab your hand and go put it in the ink and say, vote. That's what happened.
We have to change our concept of government. We have to see ourselves as the power. Power comes from the people. How much must we say that? Power comes in, and you know how you want to see how powerful people are? Wait till election time. They come and they're begging you for your vote. You're powerful. All of us together, collective, we're more powerful than the government. And people have to start understanding that. And I think those of us in civil society, we have a responsibility to help educate the electorate, educate the population, educate our young people of the responsibility of government and the responsibility of the citizenry.
My brother, you cannot, my brother, I'm going to say something to you that is going to upset everybody tonight. The electorate don't want you to educate them while them getting a $20 from the politician, brother. If attacking street talk here now, brother, huh? If you tell some people around here right now that your politician just buying you out, you know, they hate you, brother, because they getting a $20 from the man. The politicians have a way
Short
to make
term
sure,
game and long term punish.
brother.
Short term
Hold
gain and
on,
long term pay.
hold on, brother. The politician passing through the town, brother. He making sure that he pull up a boy there, man. Get a 150, get a 200, get a 105, man. That's them boy, brother. That thing done by. Time to vote. Man, that guarantee, brother. And guess what? The politicians know exactly what the hell is going on, and that's a tactic they use every time, and it pays off. They win every time. And the people so darn stupid that we can't even figure it out, that your vote is not worth a drink of rum or a $50 or $200 or $500. It is your life you put on the line when you put a man to manage your affairs who care not one damn about you. I'm saying it categorically. We need to get to the place where we wake up as a people and do the right thing for ourselves and our generation. We have not done it. And it's a disgrace when you look at what is happening. Again, you're talking about elections coming up again. And some of us looking around wondering who to vote for. Our people need to set up a republic where they manage their own affair and get politics out of this. This is not about politics anymore. It's about people managing their own affairs. That's what it's about. I tell you, welcome to the raw truth. That's what this is about.
Well, I think politics is about people. Politics is not about the people, the powerful. And that's what's happening. We have moved away people out of politics, and we've made politics about power. And, you know, even we in the societies, we idolize our politicians, right? We don't hold them accountable. We don't see ourselves as the employers of the politicians who are supposed to go into office and serve us, provide service to the people. You know, sometimes when I was a teenager, before I left Guyana, I worked for President Hoyt. And I remember him telling me when he became president, he was prime minister, the president died, Burnham, and he became the president. And he was telling me later on that when he went into the presidency and started to receive letters and complaints and went into government offices and see the lackadaisical attitude, see they're acting like if the people are coming down to beg for something, he established what is called prescription. I think prescription for government. And he laid out this thing. It had to be published at every public place, public office, courtesy, service. What he embarked on was a re-education of the public service. That you're there to be courteous. You're there to serve the people. You're not there to serve yourself. You're there to serve the people. Why, when Mr. X resigns from the public service, he has to wait 1 year to get his pension? What is the process? Oh, the file got moved from Ministry of Housing, and then he got go to Ministry of Finance, and then the permanent secretary got look at it, and the POR look at it, and it's a whole long process that could be finished in 2 days.
Let us fix this.
It's taking months. And so he changed that about to reform all of those things. And it's the same thing with government. Have you ever gone to post office in the Caribbean? Have you ever gone to ministry in the Caribbean? You don't want to go. Nobody wants to go to a government office. Why? You got to wait long. Then somebody gonna go on a break, and then I'm on my lunch, and she's on time. She has some time off, so you have to. It's a big run around, right?
Let's fix
Why?
it.
Because the people in government feel that they have the power over the people.
Well, yes, because when the day is done, it boils down to this. This is what is happening. Luzette wants me to shoot a question at you about me and Muttley in Guyana. We're gonna get back to
sure,
that.
Sure.
But there's one thing I would like us to understand, my brother. And I think we have been fooled for too long to think otherwise. Washington, D.C. is where all countries were incorporated. In other words, a country is a business. This is how you incorporate a business. You incorporate a country. All the country names that we know are incorporations. That's what they are. You could pull up the OECS documents online. You check them out. You'll see exactly where all of that is coming from. It's public knowledge. prime ministers, premiers, presidents, they were all placed over these incorporated entities to make money, not to look out for people, not to protect the interest of the people, because the people are subjects of the state. Let's get it right. They haven't been teaching us these things, and as such we think that the politicians don't owe you nothing. Politicians are there to protect the interest of the state. If you notice, they call each country a state because it's a corporate entity. By virtue of that position, you, the man, the woman on the ground, becomes the natural resources of that land where you live. Without you, the state cannot make money. If you don't marry, they can't make no money. If you never have a birth certificate, they can't make no money. If you don't work in the corporation to help them produce, they can't make no money. So you are so important to the state that you can't even understand how important you are, because you are the ones putting money in the coffers of the state. That is what men and women are to the state. Very important. Yet what? They treat you like trash. You know what you call that? Slavery.
No, I would say...
Hold on, sir. Hold on, sir. Let me finish. The duty of the slave master is to ensure that the slave never feels important, but the slave sees himself as a workhorse, a work machine. Let's break it down simply.
Subject to the will of the master.
So for us to think that a politician owes us anything is like beating a dead horse, because they don't care. Listen, every tax you pay, regardless of how illegal it is, because the state works on the principles of color of law. Listen, I could go on and on. Listen, when you understand this, you won't allow yourself to be abrogated by these entities called politicians. These guys called politicians who are working for these entities, because they don't have your best interest at heart. You hold them accountable.
Exactly.
And I speak tonight as one with knowledge of the fact of this crap that has been perpetrated up on our people for decades. It all happened way back there in the 1600s all the way up. When all of these countries crashed and they came together, the economic fall apart, and they came together, and the Geneva Convention, all in places, they come together, get all of this thing together, and now everybody now suffering as a result of this crap that has been perpetrated to control you, the man, the woman, to get every dollar you have from the land upward. And now our race is so impoverished. The last part of it right now is the billions are pumped upwards in the pockets of the oligarchs. And some of you can't even find food to feed your children. Yet you're working every day. Don't you see that something is wrong with that? How is it that you're working and you can't buy food? Think. We need to stop for 2 minutes, my people. Stop and think. We have not been thinking, and that is why your rights have been abrogated, and all kinds of crap is happening to us right now as a people, and you can't even understand it because we're not thinking. And if I should tell you some things that would literally scare the hell out of you.
Don't tell us that.
I have to be so... Listen, when I sit in the seat, I'm not here to frighten people. I'm not here to scare anyone. I am here to help you to wise up, to think. I guess they don't like you when you have a brain, do they? No. I call him Brother Rickford Burke as he's sitting there with me. He knows exactly what the hell I'm talking about. Many people know. The knowledge is everywhere. Are we so stupid that we can't figure it out? Hell no. Are we willfully silly? Perhaps. When are we going to get real? The time has come when we need to do what is just and right for ourselves. And let me tell you this. I love everybody from the top to the bottom. I don't have a problem with nobody. What I hate is when we try to trick people into doing what is wrong to not only hurt themselves and kill themselves, but to control their wealth. The people need to live a good life like everybody else, for God's sake. What the hell is this? Huh? And when I talk like this, somebody may not like it. Well, welcome to the raw truth. This is what it is.
If you were in Guyana, they would arrest you.
I'm going to play something for you. I'm going to play something for you. I'm going to play something. Why did I do that? Because any day the Constitution is not worth the paper it is written on. Somebody need to tell me that. And any day my right as a man sitting in this chair is abrogated to the right where I cannot speak. You need to tell me that. Somebody need to tell me that. And if it is being hidden up to now, to this very point where I'm sitting here, it is hidden, and I don't know that it is out there, then I'm going to take you to the courthouse, and I'm going to prove to you that you are abrogating my rights. That's what I'm going to do.
You have the ability to do that. Some people don't.
Absolute bulls. And let me tell you something, brother. We need to stop being tricked into doing stupidness and allow people to cow you down and tell you crap, because what? The great creator gave us the right to be who we are, my brother. Who is going to stop us from being real people? Huh? Are we going to be sheep, chickens, or goats, or are we going to be men and women? What are we going to be? Come on now, man. Come on. Come on. We need to fix this. Tell me about Guyana. What is happening in Guyana? Talk with me.
You said somebody had a question about Mia and Guyana?
Luzette was asking a question. And Lord,
yeah,
man,
you could ask a question. You could go. What's the question?
Lord have mercy when I get mad here, because this is crazy. We really cannot allow ourselves to get to that place. It's madness. Luzette was asking a question, and I'm trying to find it because here it is. Mia Motley's role in Guyana after the last election. What is her role?
Well, what Mia did was, I think, reprehensible. In spite of how much I think she's a leader, she took over the chairmanship of CARICOM and backed the PPP getting into office despite several electoral irregularities, shall we say, which is fraud. What the PPP did was they had a scheme to vote for their supporters who were dead and vote for their supporters who reside abroad, but whose names were still on the voters list. And the opposition, the Delhi government, wanted to have a new voters list. And because of their incompetence, they allowed the court to stop them from doing that. But what they should have done is gone to Parliament and passed a law mandating a new voters list, and then the Elections Commission had to, well, let me correct myself, the courts didn't stop them. The chairman, the newly appointed chairman, who still is the current chairman, Justice Claudette Singh, she stopped the new registration. And then the court later said, you can't take people off the list. It's the most bizarre ruling I've ever heard. But so they used the voters list. They knew why they set that up and tried to get the Claudette Singh and the courts to stop the registration process so we can come up with a new voters list. Because here's what, Guyana has about 750,000 people. The voters list has about 660,000 people. But we have a school age population and under age, basically, people who can't vote, of about 260,000. right? So if you have school children of about 260,000, and you have a population of 750,000, we already know that about 250 cannot vote. So then how can you have a voters list of 660? So it therefore means that voters list had about 160,000 people who should not be on there. And that's what needed to be cleaned up. But the court stopped the government from proceeding with that. And then the Elections Commission decided not to have a new voters list. And so the voters list was the basis for the fraud. And even though the government was complaining about the fraud, what the Elections Commission sought to do, which elections workers all over the world do, is take out invalid ballots. The courts did not allow them to do that. And MEA backed that. They all backed the fact that you can't remove ballots. You can't remove invalid ballots. I have never heard anything like that. You cannot remove the invalid ballots. So we had about 15,000 invalid ballots or more. You had ballot boxes that had no documents. They were just ballots in there. So you had no supporting document to see who these voters are. Did they actually show up and vote? The stubs from the ballot papers and all that, nothing was there, right? And all the checks and balances, the documents that are supposed to support the checks and balances in the elections process. We had about 49 boxes in one district, which represents about 40,000 votes that had no documents. And when the Elections Commission tried to disqualify those ballots, the chairman of the Elections Commission voted against it because the Elections Commission is half and half. You have the opposition has 3 and the government has 3, and supposedly an independent chairman. But Justice Claude is saying is not independent in any way. As a matter of fact, she is not only partisan, but she's a deceptive snake. And so she tricked the people and she tricked the opposition because she is saying that those irregularities that were discovered during a recount process would have been addressed. And then at the end of the process, she said, well, I'm not a court. I can't decide whether a ballot is valid or not. So you have to go to the elections petition, allow us to declare these fraudulent results, and then challenge it in court. Basically, that's what she did. And that's what MEA pushed for. And MEA spoke about the Elections Commission removing the ballots, which they are calling fraud, right? But it's the duty of the Elections Commission to remove those ballots. So Mia Mottley never addressed the fraud committed by the PPP. She just attacked the Elections Commission, attacked the Chief Elections Officer. And now this government is in power, a racist government that is unleashing a war on Black people, systematically transferring the wealth of the country to their East Indian supporters. Not all East Indians, the ones that support them. Because that's an all East Indian party with a few token Black people just there for cosmetic purposes. But they're transferring the oil wealth of Guyana. There's no Black business now that the government has given a contract to in the oil and gas industry. The government has given up billions of dollars in contracts. So far, in infrastructure contracts, so far, one Black company that we know of has gotten an infrastructure contract. And that's because we have been making noise. So they've completely disbanded the Procurement Commission, and they're running the procurement process with partisans from their political party. And that's where all the fraud is happening. They're inflating contracts, inflating bids, and they're giving it to their supporters. They're transferring billions of dollars from the state to their supporters.
Look at this. Look at this. And if you mind me interjecting here, because I find this very interesting. It is not good when a wise man once said, when the people are afraid of their government, they are living in a tyrannical state. But when the government is afraid of their people, they are living in a democracy. I think we're at the point where we need to stop and start thinking seriously about Guyana, like St. Vincent, like Jamaica, like Barbados and any other place in the Caribbean region. We need to stop and start thinking seriously about where we go, Because if we're living in tyrannical states and people are free to do what the hell they want and behave how they want, and accountable to no one. If this has become the modus operandi of governments across the world, and by extension, the Caribbean region, and if our people are not waking up to the fact that they're all victims of the system, it's gonna sweep through this place like a tornado. And when we find ourselves when we really catch ourselves, we won't be able to realize exactly what has happened.
Well, that's why we have to stick together. Go ahead.
You're talking about political psychology. And it seems to me that governments are studying the psychology of people to be able to woo them into all the crap that you're talking about there as coming out of government. It's disgraceful.
And one of the things I want to make clear to the people of the Eastern Caribbean is that the black population in Guyana is under subjugation. The government has effectively made the black population second-class citizens, this racist East Indian government in Guyana. Black people don't have rights. I can tell you now, without any fear of somebody successfully contradicting me, that every single black talk show host in Guyana has been arrested. Everyone. And I host a talk show, and they put out a wanted bulletin for me.
It's fear. It is creating fear. It is driving fear in people to the point where if you stand up to even belch, you have to look over your shoulder to make sure that nobody's coming for your belch.
Yes. I live in America, where I went and spoke to members of Congress, and I called on the people to come out and protest, right? And they put out a wanted bulletin for me. Right? Mia Mottley is not addressing these things. Mia Mottley is not addressing the racism in that. She goes to Guyana and calls the president her brother. And she calls the vice president, who's a mass murderer, her brother, that killed, his government killed over 1,400 black people. In Guyana, the police, the government is using the black police officers to brutalize the black population, right? So that you could fear the police and the government. And you had, for instance, in Bartica, one of the hinterland cities, the most prominent tongue in Essequibo, where police stopped a 20-year-old boy two weekends ago, riding a motorcycle, said he ran to do an errand for his mother. He was 1 block away from his house. They stopped him. He said he didn't have his license and the document. He has them. Could my mother bring it? No. Could I go for it? No. Could one of you go to the office for it and go to my home for it? No. Right? They said, okay, put the bike in the pickup truck, the police pickup truck.
One block from his house.
1 block from his house. They put the bike. They were attempting to put the bike in the police pickup. He decided to video the condition of the bike. And he started to video the officers. They beat him up. And when he got to the station, they demanded that he deleted the video. He said no. And he Bluetoothed the video to his sister, who's a prison officer. And they all went to the police station, right? We picked up the story. He didn't, so the video was released on social media. We picked up the story. Up to now, the government is silent. The government is silent. Meanwhile, 2 of the representatives of the government, 2 brothers in that same region, started a fight at the wharf, beat up each other. One of them ran to the police station. The man running there beat you up, break up the police station, and left the police station. Then you had another representative who was a representative of the government. He's no longer working for the government, but this same government. He was drunk, driving. Police stop, he pull out the vehicle, cuss up the police, trying to kill them, beat them up, bust up the face, not arrested. It was until we started to point it out, that's when the police said they will be charged. So what has happened in Guyana, not only have they successfully, attempting to make black people second-class citizens, they have successfully developed 2 Guyana, one for black people and one for rich East Indians who are from the PPP, right? If you're a young, poor black boy, you get arrested and beaten. They could have shot him and killed him. because you don't have your documents in a traffic stop, an illegal traffic stop. But if you're an East Indian, you get off free. Or, you know, you get charged and you walk into the court without handcuffs or whatever. We just had another situation where the police, the Indians complained, sorry, I'll stop just now. The Indians complained about a black businessman business disturbing their business. Listen to me very carefully, people of the Caribbean. His name is Oren Boston. He was from Dartmouth, Essequibo. The president of Guyana went to this region and the people complained for him about this man, his business, disturbing the community, he taking away business from us or whatever it is. Within days, the SWAT team visited Essequibo. This man had no warrant, no arrest, no complaint against him, whatever. They kicked down his door, went in his house, shoot him to death in his sleep, then lied.
Can I say something to you?
Said he was shot because he was in confrontation with the police.
Can I say something to you?
Go ahead.
Our people need to understand this, and I think it's appropriate for me to put this in here. Your police officials, and I'm hoping that all policemen and women across the region are post this, tag them this video, because I want them to hear this. Police officers were not given ultimate powers to do what they want in any country they reside. And any government that gives the police ultimate powers to abrogate the rights of men and women in that land are violating the law. A police officer. Hold on. A police officer's job is to investigate crimes when committed in a country. Misappropriations, crimes, any crime, any violation of the law. A police officer in his uniform, that's his job. He put his uniform on, he investigates the crime, he leaves the crime scene in his private capacity as a man or woman. His duty is to take off his uniform technically, because as long as you're not a police officer doing police job, you're not supposed to be in a uniform. And if a policeman or woman is going to be acting as a mercenary, to note my words, to violate the rights of the man or woman, and you declare to him or her that they are in violation of their oath, which they took to protect the rights of every man and woman they come in contact with. Declare that to them. And if they proceed to violate your right, the man, the woman, which is the private person, the private man or woman, have the collective right to lock up that officer who is not only going to abrogate your rights, yes, and not only is going to break the law, but is going to put you in a very difficult position if he proceeds to abrogate your rights as a mercenary. You reserve the right to lock. You ever heard about house arrest? You reserve the right to lock them up.
Well, that's the power of the people we're talking about.
They are violating your rights. They are put there to protect you, the man and the woman. And anyhow, a police officer is going out of his call to violate the law to protect your rights as a man or woman. You reserve the right to lock his ass up. Private arrest.
But we'll be shot to death in Guyana. And let me also give you another example. I talked about Mr. Boston. Mr. Boston, now, we were calling for the person who shot Mr. Boston to be arrested and charged for murder. The government refused. It was the police who leaked his name and photograph to us, and we released it. And public pressure led to them charging him with manslaughter almost a year after. Now, he was arrested and placed before the court. He was placed, that policeman, a black guy, is a black guy. He was placed on $1.5 million bond bail. Now, recently, you had some East Indians in the East Indian stronghold of the PPP, young man, who was driving recklessly, broke the law, whatever it is, and the police stopped him. He drove away, a young Indian boy, and these are black officers. He drove away from the scene. They decided to chase. Listen to me very carefully. These black police officers on duty decided to pursue this fleeing suspect who is from the East Indian stronghold of this PPP government. The young man crashed and died. Instantly, they charged the 2 police officers with murder, placed them before the court. The police officer in Boston case was placed on $1 million bond bail. These police officers on duty, chasing a fleeing suspect who crashed up and died, they charged them with murder or manslaughter and placed them before the courts, and they were placed on $1.5 million fraud, even higher, a higher bail than the police officer who shot Mr. Boston in cold blood, who had no mandate to be there. He had no commission, no warrant for Mr. Boston. Mr. Boston didn't commit a crime. They were sent there to execute him because he was disturbing the business of the East Indian supporters of the government, right? But these 2 police officers pursue a fleeing suspect who is probably a supporter of the government, and they charge them within days. Within days, they were charged with murder and placed before the court. That's the country.
Very
and
sad.
The black people in the Caribbean, everybody in the Caribbean, all people of the Caribbean, but particularly the black people in the Caribbean, have to understand what is happening in Guyana. And because Mia Mottley and Ralph Gonzalez and all these other prime ministers are rubbing shoulders with these racists, probably they're getting some kind of benefit. Guyana's a rich country now. I don't know if they're being induced. We just had a Vice News report that came and exposed that Guyana vice president is receiving bribes from every contract he got from the Chinese or the government gift to the Chinese. One man said he's receiving bribes. He's the bribe man. He's the bad man. I don't know what else is happening with the leaders of the Caribbean, but CARICOM has been unfair, disrespectful to black people in Guyana. CARICOM has sat there in the 90s and the 2000s. CARICOM said nothing while the PPP government formed death squads. And this is public knowledge. The United Nations investigated it. The PPP government formed death squads between 1999 and 2011 that killed over 1,400 black people. And CARICOM said nothing. Caribbean government said nothing. They have no regard for the black people who live in Guyana. And now we're having the same thing where they're getting the military, they're not forming death squads anymore because the international community is watching. The death squad now is the police force. They're using the police force to subjugate black people, to kill out black people, to keep black people under wraps, while they implement East Indian ethnic supremacy. East Indians are supreme to black people in Guyana, it's like America.
What is the population?
We black.
Can I ask you
That's
this?
what the government is implemented. And CARICOM is saying nothing. Mia Mottley is saying nothing. She calls a man who possibly killed hundreds of black people in Guyana her brother. She calling the president who's presiding over a government that is implementing ethnic supremacy against black people her brother. It is disgraceful. And then she goes on the international scene and talk about the rights of black people and reparations of black people when she's turning a blind eye to what is happening in Guyana. And I want to know if maybe she has been induced. I'm asking a question.
Well, listen, sir. Frankly, you're talking about reparations for black people. There's no reparation for black people. Reparation is for the Asiatic people who suffered slavery back then in their days. The American people, and if you notice, I don't use the word black, because we are American people across the Americas. Yes? North, Central, and South. That's where we're from. But I'm saying American people don't need reparation because we were not the people who were destroyed technically. It was the Asiatic people who were the slaves. White, black, whatever they were, until they moved across into our lands and now introduced their systems among our people. That is where it's coming from. But again, if Mia Mottley is not as prudent to be, and again, you're talking about
the people in Barbados need to get her, make her.
The money game is a dangerous game, you know. And when the day is done, when people smell money, they turn fool. I could say this. Yes? And politicians tend to get pretty silly when they smell money. And if it is that one's association with a source is going to provide funding at whatever level, and you have to agree with whatever they do, then that's a very dangerous position. In courts, very dangerous. So this is something that one has to be careful about. Now, if what you're saying, and it is alleged that is what is happening, yes, if she's supporting that regime, and I hope she's listening to this broadcast, it would be an absolutely very interesting thing that she's doing to be supporting a regime that is destroying its own people. That's wrong.
She is supporting it. Make no mistake about it. She's very open about it, and she shows it. I don't know if it's because when she helped to implement regime change and take out the black head of state, where the PPP was saying, guidance, they don't want to be governed by a black man. I don't know, there was a very negative reaction and serious backlash against her from the black population in Guyana and the diaspora. And so I'm pretty sure she was probably hurt by that. So I'm not sure if her continued support for that racist government is because of that. She wants revenge, or there is some financial benefit for her or Barbados. I don't know. But I cannot see somebody who's outspoken as Mia Mottley, somebody who on the international scene has been championing the cause and the rights of people of the African diaspora, turning a blind eye to what is happening in Guyana. And beyond Mia Mottley, other CARICOM leaders, black people, going and rub shoulders with these racists in the government of Guyana who are killing all black people, making black people second-class citizens.
CARICOM in general should never be silent about this. And I mean, if it can happen in Guyana, it will happen any place else in the region. And that now is frightening, if you ask me. That's absolutely frightening.
And my advocacy is that the black people in the Caribbean must force their governments to speak up. In Antigua, in Barbados, in Jamaica, in Trinidad and Tobago, Virgin Islands, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Suriname, St. Lucia, wherever the populations and the Guyanese, the African Guyanese in those countries must also push those governments to start speaking out about the racism in Guyana. You see, the Caribbean views Guyana as one monolithic society where we don't have a race issue.
My brother,
Guyana, it is not class, it's class and race.
My brother. It is not only in listen to me well, and I'm going to say this very quietly tonight. It is not only in Guyana, brother. The whole darn Caribbean region is suffering from the same disease. Racism has taken over the world, even among what you call them, so-called black people. Some of us are sold to the fact that because a man or a woman is not from the place where you are from, they don't belong. Some of us are sold to the fact that if a man or a woman has not been what's the word? Ushered into a system by virtue of documentation, you don't belong. Our rights as a people, men and women, have been abrogated by the systems of politics, and our people have been brainwashed to think that if you don't support a particular regime, you're anti-regime. If you're not from a certain place, you do not belong. That's the epitome of the racist thinking among our people. And it is, let me tell you something. If you never see anything destroy any people before, watch this very notion and see how nastily it is going to wipe out people from across the Caribbean region. Because when we rise against our own melanated brothers and sisters who are placed among us as a people to protect us, nobody didn't just show up because they have no place else in the world to go, and they crawl from under some rock because they have no place else to go. Some of us are better positioned than many people in the lands where we have come. Period. Some of you don't like when I talk like this, but I'm telling you straight. Welcome to the raw truth. And some of us are positioned to help a lot of you, brothers and sisters, where you are, wherever in the region you are. But because you are so thwarted in your thinking to think that they come from wherever they come from, to come take away what you have, take away what you have. Whether you're in Jamaica, BVI, St. Thomas, St. Kitts, Barbados, I don't care where you come from. We need to stop thinking them and look at them as part of us, because we are all one blood. When are we going to get it?
Exactly.
When are we going to get it, yo? We need to cut this bulls.
I have to speak.
Hold on, sir. I need to throw this.
Speak at a function just now when they're calling me, so I have like 5 minutes more. Go ahead.
That's good, and we're going to lock in 5 minutes. Of course, it's 10 o'clock. Gosh, man, this one runs fast. The Caucasian man, realizing that we are so divided, because it was intended to be so from morning, they feed into this notion to make sure that they rip us apart further. And we are too foolish to even understand it. It's a dangerous game, and we need to wake up. Brother, final words as we close. Go ahead, talk with us.
Well, I think with regard to just to give us a summarize what we discussed, I think we ought still to be cautious and probably also breathe a sigh of relief that COVID has subsided or is subsiding, but don't let your guards down. Don't let your guards down. I'm reading the comments. Someone saying I should apologize to the black people in the Caribbean for calling me a motley progressive. The only progressive leader. I said one of the only. Let me correct it. One of the only. And I think that's my opinion. I think she's a progressive leader, despite some of her bad decisions. Also, I think I want to encourage the same person who made the comment and every other person in the Caribbean, focus on Guyana. Guyana now has billions and billions of barrels of oil that would be exported. We have a racist government who believes that the country belongs to them, who believes that black people aren't from Guyana, black people shouldn't be in Guyana, that black people aren't citizens of Guyana. They believe that the resources of Guyana only belong to them and their own racist East Indian supporters. So the non-East Indians the East Indians who don't support them, the Afro-Guyanese, the Amerindians, and some of the Amerindians do support them, and the mixed race, they believe that we all, we're not up there with them. We're second-class citizens. And so, like I said before, they're transferring the wealth of Guyana. When these people are finished with Guyana, we will be so poor. Black people will be so poor because they transfer, and we already have a wealth gap. We already have a large wealth gap. And now they're transferring the wealth of the state of Guyana to the East Indian population. The Caribbean must stand up with the African Guyanese people in Guyana and ensure that there's equitable governance, ensure that there's justice, and ensures that every Guyanese, regardless of race, economic stature, or political affiliation, benefit from the oil and gas wealth of the country. Right now, we're not.
My brother, you have done well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for bringing us up to speed with what is happening in
my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Good night, everybody.
Whatever you do, take care. All the best until we catch up a little later.
Thank you. All the best. Have a good night.
All right, good. That was my special friend, Brother Rickford Burke. And of course, he is, I've known him for quite a while. And he continues to look at what is happening in Guyana in a very practical way. I think when the day is over, we need to bring ourselves up to date as to what is happening, not only in Guyana, but across the world. The Raw Truth was designed to bring our people to the mirror. I choose to be very candid about some matters. And when the day is done, this is not about my opinion. This is about helping you to think clearly about where we are, about what we are doing, about who we are, about our direction into the future. And as a social analyst, I use this platform to help us to understand in a simple form exactly what we are up against. I chose not to say much about the war in everybody knows about the war. We haven't been hearing much about COVID since the war started. It's Putin, 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 war, war, war. That's a whole other discussion. But it can have some very serious implications. And when today is done, we need to think clearly in relation to this matter. Let us pray that it does not escalate into what could transpire into World War III, because given the nature of what I'm seeing, it has the capacity to develop into something that could be catastrophic. This is not to be taken lightly either. I choose to say a little about it tonight because when the day is done, I don't think we should worry too much about what they are doing, but rather to trust in the divine energy in which we trust to position them to do what is just and right. In the meantime, get your gas masks if you can get any. In the meantime, store food. In the meantime, seek to protect yourselves. In the meantime, don't be a fool moving into the 21st century. We're living in dangerous times. Don't take it lightly. I might be the only guy who speaks like this. I'm very candid when it comes to practical reality. No need to be fools. Do the best thing for yourselves. If you haven't been storing food, store food. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or even tonight. Let us open our eyes, my beloved brothers and sisters, to see what is happening around us and take a very practical position to save ourselves. Find a friend. I keep saying this. It will become very important that you find someone who you can call in the time of trouble. Don't tell me you're going to call on God, because God is not going to leave heaven, come down here to save none of you. People are placed here to do that. What the great Creator has to do will be done. But what you must do it. No one else will do that for you. And I'm being very practical. I'm talking to religious people because some of us are too religious to be alive. God ain't going to save you like that, sisters and brothers. You have to save yourself. Faith without works is dead. Dead as hell. Faith without works is dead. If you're hungry, stop, sit down and say, God will provide. If you don't get up and go look food, you're going to die for hunger. Woo! Let me get off here. Take care of yourselves. You have a wonderful rest of the week. Take care of yourselves and be witty. Use your brain. You didn't get your brain to eat food, have fun, and have sex. You got your brain to think. I speak practically. Yes, let us look at ourselves through a different lens as we move forward, because the world has changed and continues to change. We're now up against the cyborgs. That's where we are. For those of you who don't know, we're dealing with alien beings right now. Wake up. Because that's where we are. Nothing is the same as it was 2, 3, 5 years ago, my beloved brothers and sisters. We are now at the doorway to walk into a new reality as we speak. It began at the end of 2019. We are now experiencing a new reality. Wake up. Start thinking differently. Money is not going to save for those of you who have a lot of money. Start giving it to people who need it. I'm going to say this again. For those of you who have a lot of money, start giving it to people who need it. Why? Or give some of it to people who need it. Because money will soon be out of style. The banking system will soon crash. That's where we're heading. Inflation is going to take us through the roof to the place where money will be useless pieces of paper as we know it. The only thing that is going to save you, my beloved brothers and sisters, is to position yourself to be self-reliant. In other words, you're going to implement systems for food, systems for water, systems for sustenance, systems for medicine, systems for your own education, systems for your own safety. That's where we are. So take care of yourselves. We catch you next Monday. All the best until then.
It is that fundamental belief, I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper, that makes this country work. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Some people are divided by religion, yeah. Oh, yeah. Some people are divided by their greed, yeah. Some people are divided by deception, yeah. Oh, yeah. Some have a lot of money but still in need, yeah. The time has come to help your hurting brother. Time has come to think about your sister. Can't turn a blind eye to their need, yeah. Share some love to help your hurting brother. Share some love to help your fallen sister. One God, one faith, one destiny, yeah. It's time for unity, yeah. Deception is tumbling down, live in unity, yeah, yeah. Division must be broken down, unite in dignity, yeah. United under God we stand. Unity is power for